a lot of the issues that young men are facing today is just socialization, right? I mean, everything's gone online. And I mean, I've had a lot of people come to me in confidence, and I've heard a lot of people come to other people and, say that, hey, I've never even talked to a woman that's not my social circle, right? I've never approached a woman or what have you, right? And so a lot of times when you have a community like this or in other communities, right, it's actually a good experience to deal with adversity, deal with talking to other people, and like Uncle Guns was saying, once you start, coming up on these panels, you're going to have a lot of people that like you, and then you're going to have like trolls and what have you. And so it's a good experience, I think, for people that are used to the socialization to learn how to handle that properly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great. And it's going to help you in dating with women, and, if you can handle adversity, because you're going to get that from approaching or taking a shot, right, with the girl you have a crush on or what have you.
Yeah. Christian, what do you think? Good to see you, man. Long time.
Yeah, long time no see. I know you have a lot of stuff going on in your plate, with you, the kids, and the family and work. So, I'm just very fortunate to be back here again. But what I think about the whole subject, actually taking and doing a bunch of videos and actually doing some research on certain things with the red pill stuff that's going on, and actually just going through certain relationships and actually just speaking with women up in real life, having even some women really interested in me, there's some truth to like what the red pill is doing, but how the message is being delivered, especially with like the popular, red pill pseudo gurus and everything, how it's delivered, the way they deliver it, and the lack of receipts that they have and the contradictory receipts that they have, this makes a lot of these spaces illegitimate. And to further go down a little bit deeper, I know they have a bunch of spaces for everyone, given certain mindsets and everything. And the whole marriage, divorce rate, and relationship affairs going on literally all around the country is actually not as cut and dry or not even as black and white as you think. There could be like many different reasons why this happens. It can vary from couple to couple. It can vary from person to person, given their mindset. And you could also deal with the fact that literally a lot of people in general are very shallow and superficial, thinking like there's always going to be like some other better options out there where I'm literally not looking deeper into their soul and not even thoroughly vetting the partner properly, given their situation, not even actually trying to figure out like what type of traumas they have and why are they acting like the same way that they mainly are, and then developing those standards really down the line and developing like what type of cross is mainly there and saying, okay, I understand the situation with like X and everything, but if you don't sort the chaos out or even trying to make effort to actually see a therapist and all that stuff, I won't hesitate to walk away, even though it really kills me inside. I would have to walk away if things don't improve or move forward. And those are the things that we also really have to really look upon and actually look into these angles as men from like a men's standpoint. I'm not saying, if things go wrong and anything that the woman does is our fault. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is we have to try and make sure we do like some thorough digging and actually just be more detail oriented whenever we deal with like some spaces like this, when it comes to relationships and even communication in general. Even learn how to actually speak the simple stuff literally up in general, like how to really process and how not to be needy towards people, how literally just stay focused a lot and everything, and not literally get too sidetracked with your goals in hand, silly, so you don't really get fucked up literally down the line. Unfortunately. And I can tell you this from a little bit personal experience myself. I have like a girl has like a serious crush on me that is now literally my co-worker. And she was showering my dad, who's like a doctor. She's looking to literally go to medical school and everything. But there's some issues and a little bit of caveats that came about that I'm literally trying to figure these things out. Actually, so with her, number one, she's like a single mom, and number one, she's up in a messy situation, growing up in like a very, very tough upbringing, dad being an alcoholic and all, and her literally planning a baby before she even got married, which is like another red flag. I'm like, why would they even think about doing these types of things? So I'm trying to be very careful on how I mainly go about it and try to keep as much distance as I can and actually take these things slow and ask these very deep, difficult questions, so I can really try to actually dig up in the mindset and actually trying to figure out a way how do I develop those boundaries accordingly. You know what I mean? So that's like an example that I literally look up, given my experience as well. And there's other people that are literally attracted to me as well in other different countries. Also, I look at this stuff, and when you literally get yourself out there in the real world and do a lot of try and fail stuff and everything, like sometimes it could work with what the red pill is saying, and sometimes some of the stuff may not work with red pill is saying. It's no cut and dry, black and white street. It's not a one size fits all thing, and that's really what I want to mainly bring up.
Hey, I think that's a great call and a great point. Jorge, I'm assuming it's you in the back here. I'll bring you up. We'll see. Let me do this just in case. But yeah, Cougs, any other kind of general thoughts on all that, or? Or I lost you there. George, is that you, bud?
I think you got the screen with the two dogs. I think your two dogs are up in the screen.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to let. I'm assuming it's Jorge that's coming up, but I can't hear anything from him. You there? 1 2 1 2. If not, I'll drop you down. That's okay, bud. But yeah, we can try that again later if you're wanting to come on and say a few things. Let's see. There we go. But yeah, I don't know. I think I just take issue with any time that government is going to start stepping in and picking winners and losers and saying, you can listen to this person, you can't listen to this person. And I think that's what they're trying to do by using these influencers or these groups to tell you who the approved people are in the manosphere that are the quote unquote, these are the good guys. You can talk to them, and we're going to watch what you're queuing up. And if we think you're queuing up bad stuff, we're going to try to spam you with the quote unquote good stuff.
And
like,
you know, sorry to interrupt you, Primal, but I did a video on this literally months ago. Because we have a lot of people that are being very contradictory on like what they're mainly preaching and giving the exposés, and people literally being reckless and literally acting an ass to the point where it's literally over the top discriminatory, literally completely asinine, borderline disrespectful, borderline racist, literally all the way down to the T. That's why the FBI mainly stepped in as well. So it's really an all of the above thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm just intrigued that suddenly this became this thing. But historically, you know, these quote unquote problems have been around for years and years and years. But now all of a sudden, this is going to be a thing where we're going to pour hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars into telling you who are the good men, who are the masculine men, content creators that you need to go listen to. Like it just seems really, really weird to me.
Yeah, they're gonna tell you your favorite politician. They're gonna have to rely on them or some favorite actor that they know they buy and pay for. These are the people that you have to literally lead on, and these are the people that you have to rely on all the time. These are your mentors and everything that way. And again, this is what happens when people aren't really being fully responsible and they're not thoroughly leading by example of what they preach, and people literally continue to act like asswipes, and people not basically being practical on the situations here. You know what I mean? They're not being thorough just because they had like some shitty experience just with like with one woman, or they had like some fucking see a divorce and everything that comes on pre-experience does not fully equate to someone else having like literally the same divorce when in like the same situation, thinking that all men and all women are actually gonna literally try and take your bag after what really happened with that previous woman. Like the situation that's going on with Coach Greg Adams and his divorce, clearly it's not the same with your situation and your divorce, especially with your two kids and his two kids. They're clearly not the same. The situation that come on with the beginning of the marriage to the end of marriage is clearly not the same when you actually dig up in like the whole details and everything. You cannot compare the two at all. You cannot compare like all these other stuff that women are mainly getting that you got. And I understand marriage laws have their own stuff as well. And I know they have their biases and everything when it comes to the family court system. Also, I can't forget those things at all. And you have to try and make sure you thoroughly speak with your family court attorney as you dig into further details, basically in your state and laws on how you can actually try to protect all your assets. God forbid something else goes wrong and everything like that. You don't have to worry about literally going blind, because marriage is a whole nother level. It's like another full-time job. You're thinking like it's all shits and giggles and all like heaven and roses. It's not always like always going to be like that all the time. It's going to literally be like another full job full of peaks and valleys. And that's
and
why
the government's involved in it. That's the other wrinkle is now the government's in your business.
there we go. Especially with the marriage and divorce situation, so they can try to pick who has the most money, so we can actually try to fleece that person just for alimony and child support too.
You know what? I think there might be a directive of they're seeing declining relationship rates. They're seeing declining marriage rates. We're going to try to direct these quote unquote misguided boys to these approved positive male influencers who I'm going to guess are probably going to say, hey, you should settle down. You should find a nice wife and you should be part of the machine. And again, there's nothing wrong with inherently doing any of that if that's what you want to do. True. But if the government's going to push you towards that, I don't know.
You're not going to have a free mind decision and see what you really feel comfortable and like who you feel and how well you have to really have fun inside. If that's what you really want to do, you know what I mean? Like if you explore your other options and you feel like you want to settle down, that's fine. But if you literally stuck them in that realm, if you're not mentally or emotionally prepared, you have all this stuff stuck out in your system, saying you really want to try and stray out for a bit up out the country and literally just try and get your rocks off and everything. And God forbid the divorce happens in a couple of years. Now it's just really going to go astray because of that.
And
Primal, I wanted to say something funny though, because it's totally true. There was a I don't know if you guys have seen the clips, but basically back in the day when Ronald Reagan was president, he was making a joke and he said, the most terrifying thing that can happen to an American citizen is to get a knock on their door and have somebody show up and say, ma'am, I'm with the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah, no, that's the most scary, dangerous thing you could hear anybody say, right?
Absolutely.
And here's the other thing, and I think Mark hit it on the head is, and they've studied this, and married men make more money than single men. And what can they do to you if you make more money?
They probably tax you more.
They can tax you more.
Possibly that. But at the same time, most of the tax you have, you know, if both of y'all married and y'all having jobs, you know, they could get y'all in shared income and they could actually tax both of y'all as a couple, not as individuals. You know what I mean? Because technically, like, both of you. I was going to say, and sorry, it just came to mind, but what's the other part of that equation too? If you get married and you make more money, they can tax you more, but also what does that decrease the chance of the government having to provide for? That's a good question.
Well, who gets a lot of assistance?
Probably the woman when it comes to welfare, child support. I could be wrong.
So if they don't have to support those women because they're married to a man who's supporting them, wouldn't that be less of a burden on the government financially then too?
It could be less of a burden as well because they don't have to really pay him as much.
That's what I'm saying.
There we go.
So the government wins twice then because they get to tax the man more because he's bringing in more money, and then that's potentially less people that are being supported by government support systems. Right. So I say the government is actually incentivized to get people to get married, to get men to get married, I should say.
And to try and make more babies and trying to do with their little population, with their little group and everything. So that's probably another reason why. That'll probably be like another reason for it because they're worried about their population decline. Yeah, no, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Cougs, you were saying, I'm sorry if I jumped in before you, bud.
Oh no, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but it's a whole thing. I think the government is kind of nervous about the declining state of marriage, the declining state of relationships, right, and what that means to their bottom line. I don't necessarily think they really care very much about men's struggles. I just don't think they do. I don't think they do. I think they care about the impact of that financially, or if violence is happening. I think they care about those things, unless it's violence against men. Because I don't really think the government really all that usually cares that much about violence against men. Because I don't see a whole lot of talk about, you know, who commits most of the violence? Men. But who do they commit most of the violence against? That's the thing. Other men. There we go. You know, but I don't hear that. I don't hear that as like, hey, we gotta combat this male on male violence. Right. And also the fact they're in the money situation where, you know, the majority of like the consumer that you see up in like these stores and
pumping up the U.S. economy on women as well. So they make up much of the consumer reason also. So we also have to factor that as well, according to U.S. Census Bureau.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a big believer of follow the money. Like eventually, the money will lead you to the motivation in a lot of these circumstances.
Right. Big time.
Yep. But yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. It's a very intriguing way to break into 2024. I'm curious as to the direction that any of this will go. Well, hey, speaking of interesting, let me welcome E Black to the stage. E Black, how you doing, man?
Hey, man, long time no talk, but
Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. How you been?
I've been blessed. I've been really blessed, man.
Yeah. What you think about this? What you think about the government tipping its hand on the scales of what YouTube channels you should watch?
I think it's very lazy work. It seems like pop culture work. You know, like back in the days, leather jackets were hideous. You know, that type of stuff. You know, afros are bad. You know, it's kind of like it's some guy who's probably working, or some group of people who are working in an office somewhere in a corner who needs to put out some work to justify their pay grade.
Or maybe a grad student that got a grant for like $500,000 that is going to find a way to, earn it, quote unquote.
Yeah, I think that's what from the opinion that I got from it, because if they're talking about Myron, I just can't take them serious, because they're not the serious case. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of YouTube channels that I can point to where I can say, oh yeah, this guy's crazy.
Yeah,
he's off the Richter. He like this type of guy. If I'm gonna actually put something that's published and that's serious, I would put a lot more different examples of channels that I would even if I was to explore the whole manosphere is bad type of ideology, I would put a lot of different channels. But to put those type of people lets me know that they're just doing like some type of surface levels work.
I agree, because I think a lot of those channels are actually fairly conscientious of not saying the most outlandish things, because they know they'll get canceled basically. But to your point, some smaller content creators they're more about saying what they want to say than they are trying to make money or anything like that. Those are the ones that are like out there spewing some shit. I mean, I've seen it too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So when you essentially brought this up, and I salute you for bringing this type of material up, and when I started seeing the talking points, I'm literally hearing basically, man, anybody who has any exposure to this side of, say, content or ideology, I can definitely agree. Like, okay, yeah, I see where you're coming from, but the real issues are the extreme people. These are not the extreme people. Mm-hmm. These are the people. These like okay, if I was to talk about, say, PETA, not eating meat, or fur people, there's content that's based on that. But let's be honest, there's extreme content that's probably based on that. That's probably borderline terroristic threat. Mm-hmm. So,
and I guess the part that troubles me is how they can apply that term with a pretty wide brush and get away with it. There's nothing like, at least that I've seen, there's not a whole lot of objectivity of, well, this person's a terrorist or this person's a misogynist. It seems that they can pretty freely apply that label to just about anybody they want. And that's kind of concerning, I feel.
Well, that's because that's the easy thing. Because when you get into nuanced things, I always go back to, say, where the government was very against pro-black stuff. You had very extreme pro-black people and then those people who were pro-black wanted to have, justice, freedom, equal rights, the whole litany of test of, say, social consciousness.
Right.
But then there's, for instance, those fringe groups that wanted to bomb people, and
Right. In which we
you
can
know,
all agree that's bad. Like that's just not good. But that doesn't encompass the whole group.
yeah, and that's the vibe that I'm essentially getting from this article, is that this is not necessarily a well thought out thing to where I could say, oh, I could take serious, as I've been exposed to more content and more people from different areas and different groups. You know, I can understand how a person can go down probably this slippery slope. I think if you're talking about slippery slope, yeah. But if you're really talking about essentially hate, using strong words like hate, terroristic stuff, you know, I can't take it serious, because those people, like you said, are more conscientious about influencing the wrong type of audience for profit. You know,
That's
that's
that's the big underlying thing. Is I don't think they're actually trying to start a movement. I think they're trying to make money. I think that's what most of these folks are about.
yeah. If these people are trying, like there's a difference between people who are trying to make money and for instance, some people who are trying to create a movement against, say, single mothers. You know, like there's no movement. Like if you were to show me somebody who was actually trying to say, yo, we should kill all single mothers, like I would be more or less inclined to say, okay, yeah, I can agree, or at least I can understand objectively. But I cannot, from the idea, from what I've seen, is basically some guy or some group of people who are in an office. They know how to use Adobe Premiere or photo, you know, whatever product they can, and they have a quarterly report that they have to produce. Yeah, they have something to produce, and this is what they produce. But I don't believe in the whole ideology at which they're actually trying to produce. That's not to say that, do I agree with 100% of what's going on? No, but I don't necessarily disagree.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that within these communities, I think a lot of these people are not afraid to call each other out and call people bad actors they feel are bad actors or problematic that are problematic. I think there's a lot of quote unquote self-regulation within these communities. In fact, I think that people within these communities are probably harsher on each other than any outside factor is probably ever going to be.
I would say, well, there's two things about that. It's whether the back end is being funded and how well organized.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, do we believe that the most extreme people are being well funded, and do we believe that the well organized, the most extreme are being organized in how they operate? I would say no. I think the people who are moderate are being, because okay, let me get my exposure. I went to the Black Manosphere event. I went to an actual event where, you know, this, say, ideology is frowned upon. These are normal people. Normal people. These are your bartenders, your barbershop people, your lawyers. They had an accountant, ex army people, a guy, normal people that you would look at every day crossing Walmart, Walgreens, or whatever thrift store, and you're just like, hey, that's a guy, he's buying some stuff, and you walk away. You know, I do not believe necessarily that certain people are as extreme as they think. I think the extremity is the fact that we've taken it so long. This we've taken feminism so much. We've taken the other side so much that when you, as a man, you say, you know what? I don't think child support is really helping the family unit, and it's really abusive towards men.
Or have you seen, or like the new one, mandatory paternity testing is misogynistic in nature. Have you seen that argument?
Yeah. And even me, look, let me say this. I even agree. I even have an argument against it, but it's based on how the trickery can be had with the court system. If you as a father do not have legal rights until you sign a court document, I have an issue with that. because
that's dark psychology right there. How can Lily trying to take a mandatory DNA test for like paternity fraud or anything like that? How is that misogynistic?
it's
How is
not
that
about the
hitting you?
misogynistic, it's about the nuts and bolts of how the operation will work. That's my issue. It's like, okay, do we want to house DNA on men until a judge says this is the go? How long does that take? How long do we house that data? Those are the issues. Those are nuts and bolts issues that I have. But other than that, I can agree with principle. Yes, if you're
the fundamental underlying principle is, hey, I think you have a right to verify, right? But to your point, I understand there's some logistical stuff to that.
Yeah, because like I said, that's just the way I believe. So on that principle, but to get back to what I was talking about, essentially, when I've been one of the unique people to actually see these group of men and these organizations, they're very much moderate. I got an Amber Rose shirt on. Every person came up to me and said, "Hey, didn't you like Amber Rose?" And we had a discussion about it. I didn't get into any fist fight. I felt no fear of my life about hoes, women who are salacious. These, like we have to separate the extremities from the actual moderate group. And that's kind of where I'm at, is like, I don't do this pile on. And especially when I hit in certain areas to where they're saying, oh, men or this manosphere group, they hate women. It's like, no, we have legitimate gripes. Could it be betterly, or should I say, could it be better articulated? Yes. Could it be better? But at the same time, I also understand cough syrup. It's like, think about the industry of cough syrup. You got how many flavors? You got cherry, grapefruit, you got cherry, grape, and what? Blue, NyQuil blue. These are all different flavors that they've tried to make it as good as possible. But whatever you do, it still has to contain the stuff that makes you better.
Yep.
And no matter what, we just have to accept the fact that NyQuil is going to taste like this, unless you're just watering down the true, authentic thing. So I have a great understanding of that based on the stuff that I've been doing. So I'm not, but I also understand that there are fringe groups, and I look out towards those groups, and I look out towards those individuals. I do care about the young men who are newly 19 that are being exposed to probably their first heartbreak. I do care about the men who are newly divorced and having access to weapons. I do care about, like little things like that. But do I think on a whole, we have to legislate all of this out? I think a lot of this stuff cannot be legislated out.
Yeah, because how do you control some of this at some scale, right?
Yeah, you cannot legislate this out.
Is some Fed going to sit there and watch every person's button click on every website they go on? I mean, it's going to, there's no way.
Think about it like this. If you as a man, get divorced, you cannot have a gun for a 2-year period.
Whew.
Like stuff like that, is like, you get what I'm saying? Because
we gotta stop you from being a criminal before you have the opportunity to be a criminal. I mean, that's the what Minority Report or whatever that shit was. I can't think of the movie.
No, Minority Report. You're absolutely right. Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Brutal.
Where they see the crime before the crime. And so I totally understand where this is coming from. But like I said, to get back to what we were talking about, essentially, yeah, this was very lazy. And I extremely put the bold markers with italics. Lazy.
Yeah, and I'm going to look and see, I'm going to read back through, they have a previous edition, and I'm going to kind of see what that has. And if they release another one come whatever, I'll check it out. But to your point, it seems like I think you said it really well, a surface level dive.
Yeah, it's a very surface level. Once I started seeing, even in document formatting, I'm seeing surface level stuff. And if you've ever had to create types of documents like this for project management or thesis reports or whatever you may call it, you can see that, okay, yeah, this was produced in a manner that was very surface level, that didn't really dive deep into different arenas of ideology. It's just kind of like, okay, what's the hottest music outside? Well, the hottest song right now is probably a song talking about shooting people. Well, that is very dangerous. It's like, okay, that's the obvious stuff. What is the root problem to the issue, you know?
100%, man. 100%. Yeah, really good thoughts. I really appreciate that. Christian, what is that? I see a couple links there.
No, this is the link that I did when it came with the FBI putting the manosphere on notice about a good couple months ago. I think it's sometime like around last spring. I've actually done that whenever they actually had that red pill on us. It's been literally gone that way for months. And I've been warning folks based on like the reckless nature of like certain people literally just acting an ass is the main reason why they're making themselves literally vulnerable down to this very day. So whenever you guys take a chance, just take a moment to actually just look into the video, see what's really going on. Hopefully some of the info actually just comes out and see how dumb some of these dudes actually mainly look. And basically, if there's any other issues, you can definitely just message me or actually just come holler at me right now. I'm afraid to actually cut this in a little bit short because unfortunately I have to literally trying to get ready for work tomorrow morning.
No, and you're good. I figure we'll kind of wrap this up. I guess maybe if you guys are okay with it, we'll kind of bring it to a close. But yeah, go check out Christian's channel. Where can they find you at, bud?
You can definitely find me up in the Nerd Chronicles, one word. YouTube, TikTok, the Nerd Chronicles 91. You can also find me there as well. They have like a bunch of stuff that I'm literally actually trying to dig on. And in fact, I'm actually going to work on like another quick video on like monkey branching as well, and the whole theoretical, practical aspect of monkey branching. And what they've explained with the monkey branch stuff, what the manager mainly talks about, is only one half of the story, but not the rest of the story.
So it's funny you use the term monkey branching because that term has been deemed a level 5 problematic term within the manosphere vocabulary.
Right. That's the thing that a lot of folks mainly just I'm not saying that they're wrong, they're partially right, but they're not all the way there fully when it comes to that, because it's not just men that do it. I mean, excuse me, it's not just women that do it. Men can also do that type of monkey branching as well. It's all based on the shaman mindset that person has on why they branch from monkey from tree to tree to tree and go from partner to partner due to the fear of being alone and having all these insecurities. So that's basically what it is. All shoutness.
Yeah.
So,
well, Christian, I appreciate it, my man. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your perspectives about
anytime. You guys take care.
Yep. Thanks, man. E Black, I'll give you the floor. Anything kind of you want to say kind of for parting words of wisdom?
No, not necessarily more than what I just extrapolated on. But I do appreciate you showing up. Happy New Year to you. Good luck to you on your content creation. Salute to everybody in the chat. But like I said, yeah, I don't want to extrapolate more than what I said. So
that's
you,
perfect.
man.
Yeah, and go check out E Black's channel. Can they just find you at E Black on YouTube, or what do they search in for?
Yeah, that's what you sign in. I've changed it from E Black TV to straight up E Black. I've been fighting the algorithm with E Black TV. It continues to. I thought I could take over Black TV, but it didn't work. And so essentially, you type in E Black, you should be able to find me. So,
all right. Well, I appreciate you coming on through, my man.
Salute to you, man.
All right, thanks, man. Cougs, what do you think, my man?
Yeah, I'm just gonna like take this news kind of as it's a little scary, but I'm just like a watch wait see right now. I'm hoping it goes away on its own, but that's probably wishful thinking. But we'll see what direction they try to take it in. So we'll have to keep our eyes out on it.
Yeah, before you go, I was trying to pull this up while Christian was coming up, but it was in the previous report, not in the September-October report, but it was in the April or whatever, like the first half of the year report. But I'll share this real quick. And that way I was kind of like being tongue in cheek, but I'm also being serious. Let's see, is this diverting hate biannual? Yes. So yeah, check this out. I was being tongue in cheek, but I wasn't kidding that they've actually taken terms and labeled them as how bad on the violation scale they are in terms of quote unquote misogynistic content and inappropriateness. And I was being funny, but monkey branch is actually a quote unquote violation level 5 term in their vernacular.
I did have a question, like, and maybe you were going to discuss this, but is there any opposition, or is there any reaction or rebuttal or anything that you've heard so far?
So I heard the first I actually heard of this was what's his name? The Whatever podcast brought it up briefly, and just they were calling out the fact that they were singled out as a quote unquote bad actor and promoting bad stuff. So that's where I've heard the first pushback on it was he was essentially lamenting like, hey guys, I'm going to get shut down, so you better come support me while I can. I don't know of any quote unquote opposition, but I'll do some more digging and see what I can find on that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting because hopefully, I mean, I'm sure there will be, but just we'll see how much they want to shut it down, if you know what I mean.
Yep. But yeah, well, awesome, man. Hey, I'll drop you down. Thanks for coming on, Cougs. Appreciate your input as always, man.
All right, good to see you.
Mm-hmm. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for coming out. If you haven't already, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know that you're in it to win it for 2024. If there's a topic you would like to see talked about, discussed, bring up, let me know, and I will do my best to bring it to you. Again, what's the goal for 2024 is to try to bring some type of weekly content. That might be a short 10, 15-minute video or pre-recorded stuff. It might be a live stream, but I'm going to try to really make that a priority for you all because I like doing this. It's good. It's fun to have discussions with various people about various topics. So I hope to see you again real soon. Have a great rest of your night. Talk to you later. Bye.